of slavery, but the United States still had one big question. How could the country rebuild itself after a war that killed 620,000 of its own men?
Slavery was abolished, but equality not as much.
How did the Reconstruction even start?
Well, the Reconstruction was the rebuilding of America after the Civil War. The Civil War started in 1861 and it ended in 1865. It happened because the North and the South disagreed about both slavery and the states' rights. The North, which was the Union, was victorious in the end. This meant that slavery was abolished in the 13th Amendment. Although slavery was over, all of the former slaves were still struggling. Even though the slaves were free, many white Southerners did not want them to have basic human rights. Southern states started passing black codes and using violence to keep black people from having powers. Does anyone know what black codes are? Yes, Lucian.
A black code was a law to pass to control the newly freed African Americans, forcing them to do labor and stripping them of many rights.
Exactly.
So what happened next?
So after President Lincoln was assassinated, the new president, Andrew Johnson, did not agree with Congress about how to rebuild the South or how to help the former slaves. This started a period known as the Reconstruction, which is what we're talking about. Leaders had to decide how to reunite the country and protect everybody's rights.
We are free, but they are trying to control us again with black codes.
So, voting equals safety? Freedom without rights is no freedom at all.
Exactly.
No voting for them. The South should decide their own laws.
Yikes, we should take this to court.
Court is now in session. Today's case, Shelby County v. Holder.
Your Honor, free slaves deserve voting rights so they can protect themselves as loyal Union supporters in the South.
Good point. The South does have more black loyalists than white rebels.
This is all a trick. Republicans just want power in the South.
Congress needs black votes to prevent rebels from taking over again.
Some people think Congress wanted black voting rights only to keep Republican power strong in the South.
But others believed that they were moral idealists and had fought slavery for years and believed in true equality.
The truth? Probably both. Power and protection.
Congress believed that freed slaves should support the party that freed them.
That prevented former rebels from regaining control.
So if they vote, we lose power?
Exactly, and the United States stays united.
Let's review. Some of the monumental acts and amendments during the Reconstruction era were the 13th Amendment, which ended slavery, the 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship from ex-slaves, the 15th Amendment, which stopped denial of voting rights, and the Reconstruction Acts of 1867. It required Southern states to change their laws. The Enforcement Act stopped violent groups and made it illegal for people to intimidate black voters out of voting. And then an example of this was the Ku Klux Klan, which was a very
An
harmful.
important figure in the Reconstruction time period was Thaddeus Stevens. A quote from him is, "Don't loyal blacks have as good a right to choose rulers and make laws as rebel whites?"
Ellie! What did the support of Thaddeus Stevens do for the freed slaves?
Well, it was important at that time for white men to support the slaves' cause because it was very rare and there were not many of these figures.
Even after the 15th Amendment, people in the South tried to block black voters.
They used violence and unfair laws to stop equality.
The fight wasn't over yet.
The Reconstruction era lasted from 1865 to 1877 and was supposed to rebuild the South and protect the rights of formerly enslaved people. It officially ended with the Compromise of 1877. It was a political deal that made Rutherford B. Hayes president. In exchange, he agreed to remove the last federal president of the troops from the South. Once the soldiers had left, the government stopped enforcing the rights that freed men had gained.
Without the Chiefs there, what happened to the black voters?
Southern leaders, especially Democrats, quickly took back control. They passed laws that limited the freedom of black Americans, even though slavery was technically over. Violent groups like the Ku Klux Klan threatened anyone who tried to vote, and states created poll taxes and literacy tests that made it against impossible for men to vote.
So the rights that the freed slaves won during the Reconstruction did not last?
Not fully. Many historians say Reconstruction was a noble effort, but ended too soon to protect black Americans long term. However, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments stayed in the Constitution, and they later helped fuel the Civil Rights Movement almost 100 years later.
So why did the Reconstruction Reconstruction policies imposed on the South by the Republican-controlled Congress include the requirement that freed slaves be granted the right to vote.
In the end, it was important for freed slaves to be given the right to vote because it helped the slaves feel welcome in their country and gave the government valuable allies.
By giving the free slaves the right to vote, the government helped maintain its balance throughout the country.
Reconstruction did not fix everything, but it created the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments.
These laws still protect rights today.
Even though equal voting took a long time to achieve,
Reconstruction proves that real freedom requires the right to vote and a voice in government.
Real freedom requires the right to vote.
Case number 1867. Do free slaves deserve the right to vote?
they do, Your Honor. They need the right to vote in order to protect themselves against blackcoats and violence. The only salvation is in the possession of the ballot.
No, giving black people the right to vote is just a way for Republicans to take power from southern whites.
If we finally have a voice, we can defend our freedom, our power, and our future.
Voting is the only way for free slaves to have real equality and make their own choices in this country.
This court recognizes that equality requires the right to vote.